Today we'll cover the most recent construction over at Epic Universe. Several different car trains have been spotted, including the highly anticipated Starfall Racers. We have our first look at the barrel for the Donkey Kong coaster. There's also plenty of updates at the main attraction in the Dark Universe, plus much more updates to go over. One more thing before we get into updates. I have recently become a travel planner for Gold Gal Getaways. I can book your next vacation to Universal Orlando Resort or Walt Disney World. My services are free. Go to the description box below and get a free vacation quote. Universal Epic Universe is set to open in 2025. This new theme park will have 5 lands. Universal has officially announced the names for each new world and given us a more in-depth look at the central hub, Celestial Park. Celestial Park is the first world you will experience. It connects all 4 of the other worlds throughout their portals. To enter Celestial Park, you will walk through the Kronos. Executive producer of Celestial Park, Adam Rivest, explained that Kronos is this giant machine used to harness the energy of the universe that powers all of Celestial Park, allowing us to open the portals to the other worlds. Work on the Kronos is progressing. They've created the center arch with concrete. It will eventually have a tower over it that will hold a medallion for each world. Once you walk through the Emerald Gates, you will see the cascading water features with lush gardens. They are working on the construction of this wall, which will have a statue of the goddess Luna on it, with a saying that reads, "The goddess Luna draws the veil across the worlds as colors pale, her glowing face reflects the light and pulls the stars into the night." This area will be the Luna Overlook, with areas to sit and relax and enjoy the beautiful gardens before venturing to the other worlds. We now know this restaurant will be called Atlantic and will feature glass walls that look like a Victorian aquarium. It's been covered in scrim for a few months now. There is a suspended platform outside that could be an indication that glass is beginning to be installed. The pool in front of the restaurant has recently been painted blue. Once it's filled with water, it will make the pool look like the water is a beautiful ocean blue. In the other pool, right in front of the Atlantic, the walls have been painted blue and will soon have the floor painted as well. Constellation Carousel will be a ride for the whole family to enjoy. They've installed the floor and we can see 3 of the smaller circles that will each rotate. You will ride celestial lions, dragons, and more. Not only will the floor rotate, but each carriage will turn 360 degrees and lift you up 6 feet into the air. Along the outside, we can spot the first sign of paint. Gold paint has been applied to the bottom of the dome structure. At the arrow, you can see electrical conduits that will run up to the top of the dome. The ceiling will be a star tracker with rotating celestial star patterns, and at the center, a mesmerizer that creates a ribbon cone effect overhead. They've also been working on the entrance to the attraction where signage will be placed. Next to a Constellation Carousel is another attraction. This is a splash pad called Astronomica. From the video, they briefly pass by it, so we don't get a great look at the finished product. This will be an interactive water play area designed as a compass rose that points to the portals and attractions inside the park. Over at the large show fountain, we can see the fountains are in the shape of a compass with cardinal directions that point north, south, east, and west. The floor has also been painted blue, just like the one in front of the restaurant. The other attraction in Celestial Park is Starfall Racers. Scaffolding has come down around the comet in front of the ride. They've recently painted green and brown on it, however, it's not complete. Paint still needs to be done on the rest of the comet. They've also been working on creating the front rocks. On the sides of the comet, some of the rock work has been painted a brown color. The max height for this ride is 133 feet and has 1.8 miles of track. It will appear as if 2 comets are racing side by side. Here we can get our first glimpse of the actual car trains. Ride testing for Starfall Racers has begun. Here the car trains are going back into the station. In this view, we can see the front of the car, and it's been painted to look like a comet, similar to the one in front of the ride. Here is a great aerial view. The seats are clearly visible in this shot with red and black colors. Over here, work has started on what is believed to be called Celestiki Bar. Over the past few weeks, it's really made some progress. The most recent photo shows that it is currently in preparation for concrete to be poured. There's also a rectangular structure being built behind it. These structures seem to be in several places around the park. There is another one over by the How to Train Your Dragon land. Perhaps these rectangular structures will have benches and will be a nice shaded area to relax. There are also several octagonal structures. Some might be kiosks, while maybe some of them are also for relaxation. Outside the entrance to Epic Universe, some trees have recently been transplanted. We're at the other restaurant called the Blue Pan Asian Restaurant. There is new circular concrete near the entrance. Super Nintendo World will have a Donkey Kong land that will feature a Donkey Kong themed roller coaster. And today we have our first look at the barrel that riders will pass through. This will eventually be installed on top of the temple. It still needs to be painted and receive its final touches. It will be placed here on top of the lift hill. Over here we can spot one of the minecart trains. This wall has been painted over the last few weeks. It's been continually getting more theming elements. It has flowers and plants with vines that have already been painted. The circular area in the center is the most recent addition that was assembled and placed on the wall. It will be painted soon. Over here scaffolding was recently removed, so now we can see the golden bricks much better. Here is where the barrel will be placed, and it's where the waterfall will be as well. They've been working on this metal frame for the waterfall. Here's how it looks in the concept art. Work is coming along quite nicely at Mount Beanpole. Lots of the elements that will create a kinetic energy to the world have been installed. We have clouds, blocks, and thwomps already placed. We are just missing the Yoshi that will walk in a circle. Even the entrance down below for the Yoshi ride has been painted. Here are all the Yoshi ride vehicles uncovered. Yoshi's Adventure is the second attraction in the Mushroom Kingdom. It will be a slow-moving ride, great for families with younger kids. Over off to the side are some metal frames that have been placed for the show scenes. The Super Nintendo World portal is the only world that has not received its portal rings on the outside. The portal ring will have writing that says, "Here we go." Princess Peach's castle continues to see progress. It now has the metal frames on the sides for the turrets. On the floor, they've also been adding electrical conduits that's been routed throughout the floor. Outside the one-up factory, some metal frames are lying on the ground waiting to be placed. These could be for the top of the turrets on Princess Peach's castle. Scaffolding is surrounding Bowser Castle as they work to theme the facade. This will be the entrance to the Mario Kart ride. Next to it is the exit gift shop, which will be called Mario Motors. That's what it's called in Japan's Super Nintendo World. Universal hasn't announced much about Dark Universe, only to say that it will be a reimagining of Universal classic monsters. A new character will be part of the story. Her name is Victoria Frankenstein. In Dark Universe, guests will encounter everything from Victoria's experiments. They didn't say who she was, but the rumor is that she is the great-granddaughter or great-great-granddaughter of Victor Frankenstein. We will learn more about each world as Universal continues to give us more details throughout the year. Outside of the portal, a new circular concrete form has appeared in front of the Dark Universe portal. This will most likely be a colorfully themed concrete floor that will be for this world's entrance, just like we have seen in front of Starfall Racers and other worlds. The portal to the Dark Universe now has its outer ring. You can see the indentation on top where the world's medallion will be placed. We also know for the concept art that the outer ring will say, "It's alive, it's alive." Once you enter the portal, there are unfinished headstones and coffins lined up around the entrance before you walk through the broken wall to the village. Here's how the village is coming along. After we enter the portal, we will pass through this broken wall, which is looking nearly, if not completely, done. The village has most of the roofs done on the one side where the restaurant will be. The village is covered in scaffolding. We can see through some of it and get a peek at the themed wall. This will be the retail location. This side has less completed work on the rooftops. Lots of changes are happening at the manor. The manor will house the main attraction to Dark Universe, believed to be called Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment. At the main attraction, here is a look at a retaining wall that's next to the back of house. Dark waterproofing is on this wall, which could mean that dirt will be placed this high against the wall with trees to hide the back of house from view. Scaffolding has come down around the manor. The windows are still covered in scrim, and there is still some scaffolding up at the entrance to the manor. On top there are 2 poles sticking out that is unfinished and awaiting their final theming element. Here is what it should look like when it's complete. At the entrance is a circular form that's recently been placed that will soon get concrete poured into it. Here's a look at work so far on the gated entrance that has a bridge that leads to the manor. Also, new are all these trees that have been planted around the manor. On the outside of the manor, they've been adding more theming that looks like vines growing up the building. At the moment, they are covered in a protective plastic. At the back of the manor is the extended queue. There's plastic covering on the ground to protect the recent poured concrete. Here's what it looked like before the covering was placed over it. A crypt can also be seen here in the Gothic-style garden. The center circular concrete form now has a tree inside it. However, I really thought this would be a water fountain. The other restaurant in the land, believed to be called Burning Blade Tavern, has a windmill on top of the building. The scaffolding that was around it for a long time is down, but now a new set of scaffolding has been placed in front of it to work on the finished touches. The other attraction in Dark Universe is believed to be called Curse of the Werewolf. It is a spinning roller coaster. They've recently been working on the pathways for the queue. They have laid out some kind of protective covering for parts of the pathway. Over here are metal frames for a themed tent area, which will be the entrance to the load station for the ride. Ride testing has begun, so we can see one of the car trains on the service track. Part of the trains are covered in protective plastic. The next world we will look at is How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. Here's how the portal is looking so far. This will eventually have the inscription, "We, my friends, have dragons." Over the last few weeks, lots of work has taken place to theme this little quick service restaurant. The sign for the name can now be seen here. This stand will be called Grog and Gruel. Over at the roller coaster, a themed fence has been placed here, which will hide views of the back of house from guests as they return to the station. This is a family roller coaster that will weave in and out through much of the Isle of Berk. They've placed themed protective netting on the sides of part of the roller coasters. It looks like Hiccup's wing glider that he uses in the movies to fly, which is very fitting since it's believed this ride will be called Hiccup's Wing Gliders, as that name was trademarked a year ago. Over here they've started work on the queue area. There are some sheep on top of the rocks. One is in disguise to look like a dragon. The other 2 sheep are covered in plastic. A train car can be spotted in the maintenance building for the ride. Here is how work is progressing with the first launch for the roller coaster. From the side view, we can see into the structure. The arrow is pointing at a mechanical element inside. It's what looks like a wooden wheel. The second launch coaster has been worked on for several months now and has lots of theming already done on it. It has plenty of moss placed all over the rocks. It also is next to the kids' play area, which has been worked on for several months as well. Over here, they've begun to dig out this section, which is also part of the play area. Near that area, we have a building, the front part, which has now been themed. The front portion will be for restrooms. The rest of the building has electrical equipment that powers the launch of the roller coaster. Over at the spinning ride, a structure has been built around the roller coaster tracks. Riders on the roller coaster will fly through this section that will be a grandstand. On top, they have placed some uneven beams for this grandstand scene. Underneath the structure, they've placed boards to protect the tracks from any falling debris as they work on theming the structure. On top of the different structures inside How to Train Your Dragon, there will be houses to represent the village of Berk. And here we can see one of the tiny homes sitting on top of the mountain. This could be Gothi's hut. This is on top of the main restaurant in the land, rumored to be called Mead Hall. The restaurant is covered in scaffolding as they theme the outside. Across from it is a treat shop, believed to be called How to Treat Your Dragon. The top of the building is covered in scaffolding. This will also have houses on top of it, like Mead Hall. Trees have been added to block out areas of Celestial Park from the Isle of Berk. One of the rides in this world is a boat ride. More recently, they have been working on the queue for this attraction. Part of the queue passes under the bridge. They have been installing these metal frames to cover the queue. At the load station, the belt has been installed on the station ramp. There's also some pumps in the channel to move the boats. The Isle of Berk will also have a show that will most likely be the show untrainable at Universal Beijing Resort. Some metal frames have been built on the outside of the front of the theater. Universal officially announced the name for the Wizarding World. It will be the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. In this world, guests will be able to experience the streets of 1920s Paris, but also visit the British Ministry of Magic in the 1990s, which is the time frame that the Harry Potter books take place. On the outer portal ring, the inscription will read, "For in dreams we enter a world that is entirely our own." And if you look up, you will see the time turner for the world's medallion. It's very fitting if we are to experience two different time periods. The inside of the portal is being prepared for concrete to be poured. Off to the side of that is a formal French garden. They've also begun work on the design pavement circle in front of the portal. They're also working to create a French garden on the other side of the portal and have added more trees. On the outside wall, there is a mural that has been painted for an advertisement of perfume. And another mural can be seen on the other side of the building after you enter the streets of Paris. The building facades have been painted and are getting theming elements added to them. Over here will be the entrance to the Ministry of Magic ride. They've added some theming to the outside of the entrance. We don't know much about the ride, but I think this could be one of the rides that will amaze everyone. This is all she had to say about the ride in the promo video.
The ride inside of that world, I can't tell you because it has to be a surprise.
Based on her reaction, I would say that this is a ride that will surprise everyone. Now let's go over to the hotels. Epic Universe will have 3 hotels. One will be inside the park called Helios Grand Hotel, named after the sun god. Recent work has been focused on the dome on top. This is over a lounge. Work is continuing on the pool forms that are now in place surrounding the outer edge. The other 2 resorts will be outside the park. The one that's further along is the Stella Nova Resort, and the one with less tiles is the Terra Luna Resort. While the Stella Nova Resort has almost all the reflective tiles complete, Terra Luna still has a ways to go. Over here, they've started placing some yellow tiles. Then over here, the tiles are blue and purple. This section is almost complete before it starts to wrap around the side. From this distance, we can see that there is still a lot of tiles that need to be placed. Here's an up-close view of the tiles on the Terra Luna Resort. One is white, which will look like a star shining at nighttime, giving a cool effect when it's dark outside. Well, that's it for our latest update on Epic Universe. Thanks to BioReconstruct for all the photos. Make sure to follow him on X. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so. I cover the Universal theme parks, so if this is content you really enjoy, click the subscription box below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.